today's Advisor's Assistant Integration Partner webinar, and we have ReadyDoc here today. Justin Long is with us from ReadyDoc to show you how ReadyDoc can help you move to a paperless office and help facilitate compliance. Hello, Justin.
Hello, everyone.
ReadyDoc allows you to view a client in Advisor's Assistant, then quickly and easily scan a document and automatically link that document to the name in Advisor's Assistant. Then, once you've scanned the document, it's sent via the internet to the ReadyDoc servers that are out there in the cloud. And so your documents are stored in a secure facility for easy retrieval, and they're backed up daily for you. First, I'm going to take a few minutes and show you how you can scan documents starting from a contact name in Advisor's Assistant and send it over to ReadyDoc. I'll also show you how you can retrieve that document from within Advisor's Assistant. The integration with Advisor's Assistant is seamless, and you may find that most of what you need to do can actually be done through Advisor's Assistant. But ReadyDoc itself offers more than just scanning and retrieval. So after I've shown you the integration with Advisor's Assistant, I'll turn the webinar over to Justin so that he can give you a full demonstration of ReadyDoc and its document management capabilities. Now, we've started out here with a name in Advisor's Assistant. We're on George Washington's View Client screen in Advisor's Assistant. And I'm going to scan a simple fact finder for George. So all I did was pull George up on my screen, and over on the left-hand side in my toolbar, I have a scan icon. So I just click the scan icon, and that opens ReadyDoc to start the scanning process. I have my document loaded into my scanner, and I just click on the scan button, and the scanner software then opens. Let's see here. My scanner seems to have fallen asleep. I do apologize for that. I had it scanning just a little bit ago. So technology, as always, is so wonderful, and I just gave it a quick little restart here. So sorry about that, but here we go. Okay, so I have clicked on the scan icon, and my document is loaded in my scanner. And when I click on the scan icon in ReadyDoc, it opens the actual scanner setting, so that at this point you can tell the scanner if the scan is sided, white, color. You can adjust any of your scanner settings, and then just click scan, and your document is scanned. All of the pages will be scanned, although at this point I only have one page for my document. Once the document is scanned, I need to give the document a name, and this information is going to go back into Advisor's Assistant. So I want to fill out the name of the document, but notice that with the integration between ReadyDoc and Advisor's Assistant, some basic information has already been filled in. And then the other piece of information I want to fill out is the document type, and I'm just going to select application. This document type list is fully customizable by you, and it allows you to sort the documents on the view screen in Advisor's Assistant. Once the information has been scanned and filled out, notice that the scanned document is showing on the screen. So you can verify any pages using the thumbnails, and you can even do things like insert pages into the document by right-clicking on the screen. You have some options available there. Once your document is fully scanned, you can click the Send button, and ReadyDoc sends the document up to the cloud for storage on the secure ReadyDoc servers. You could then scan another document to the same client, or if you have another document that's already been scanned, like a PDF file, you can also import documents. So with the Import button, with ReadyDoc, you can import previous documents or existing scanned files into the client record up on ReadyDoc. Then once you're finished, we click Exit, and I return right back to Advisor's Assistant. Now, I just scanned a document using the Advisor's Assistant CRM module. So that document has been classified as a contact document. If you're using Advisor's Assistant to track investments or insurance policies, you can also use this same process to scan the documents for a specific investment account or insurance policies. So since I've scanned something to George's contact record, let's scan a quick form for one of his investment accounts. This same process that I'm going to go through for the investment account can also be used for any insurance policies. First, I need to go to the Investment tab, because before you click the Scan button, you need to select the account. Otherwise, it'll just scan it to the contact record. So I'm going to scan a document into the 401k account. So from the investment screen, I'm going to double-click on that 401k account. Then I click on the scan icon once again to open ReadyDoc. Notice that additional information has been filled in for the index field. So the account number and the account type have automatically been passed over from Advisor's Assistant. I just click on the scan icon, and it opens my scanner settings. I just click Scan again, and it scans the document. Luckily, this time my scanner is awake. Then, once that document appears, I just give it a document name, and I select a document type, and I click Send. It is sent up to ReadyDoc, and I exit out, and I'm back in Advisor's Assistant. Very quick and easy. So we've just scanned two documents. Once the document has been scanned, I then have access to those documents through the Files view in Advisor's Assistant. If I am looking at an investment and I just sent something through the investment scan, then I can use the Investment Files view to see what has been scanned specifically to this investment account. But because I scanned two documents, I'm going to go back to the Client View screens. And so I want to go to the Client Files view. It's across the bottom here. I click on the Files tab, and this allows me to see all of the documents that have been scanned. From the Files view, you can open a scanned document at any time quickly and easily. All I have to do is double-click on the document. So I'll double-click on my fact finder. And what that does is it uses the Internet, and it goes out to the Internet and opens up that document that you scanned. So now I'm actually viewing the document from the ReadyDoc program available through the web browser. And you can do all kinds of things with these documents. You can put sticky notes on the documents. You can do redacting. There are many features available. And then when you're finished, you can just go back to Advisor's Assistant, and your documents are listed there on the Files tab. So all scanning and retrieval of your documents can be done through Advisor's Assistant. And as you've seen, it's very easy. But ReadyDoc also offers many advanced features since it's a full document management system. And you can log directly into ReadyDoc from any Internet browser to access your documents. So at this point, I am going to pass the controls over to Justin. And so it'll take a minute here while we switch over to Justin. And Justin is going to show you now what ReadyDoc is capable of. So take it away, Justin.
Thank you, Shannon. Thanks for that wonderful overview. Hope everybody's having a great day today. Thank you for taking the time to look at our demonstrations. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our my screen here, my presentation today. Before we touch on some of the advanced features of ReadyDoc, now that Shannon has showed how easy the integration works seamlessly between Advisor's Assistant and ReadyDoc, just want to kind of touch on some of the key elements of ReadyDoc and what it has to offer. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time today boring you with the PowerPoint, but just some quick points we want to make. So as Shannon said, ReadyDoc is a cloud-based system, so that means it's secure. You have access to your documents as long as you have internet access anywhere that you may be, if you're traveling remotely or you're working from home, and you do not need Advisor's Assistant to access ReadyDoc. Our servers are hosted in a SAS-70 Type 2 compliant data center, which is just for security and compliance purposes. We have the ability to integrate with the Windows taskbar, which is what I'm going to show. We also have the ability to import documents directly from your Windows desktop, or actually set up to monitor a Windows folder so that anytime a document goes into that Windows folder, it'll be imported into ReadyDoc. One of the new powerful features that we recently introduced is what we call send view links, or send links to documents. What this allows you to do is, with compliance now, most people are wary of sending email through Outlook because it's unsecure. So what we do is we send an actual link to the document in ReadyDoc with a password that the user will have to input to view the document, but then we also track when the user goes in to view that document, and I'll show you that demonstration here momentarily. And then for anybody that's technical on the phone, we have the ability to integrate with third-party applications, so that if you have other line of business applications that you're interested in integrating with, ReadyDoc has that capability. So just some of the quick key features of ReadyDoc. On the security side, all of our documents, when they go to retrieve from ReadyDoc, are using the secure socket layer. And then each user in ReadyDoc is granted specific rights to either create, view, or update documents. We also have the ability, working through Advisor's Assistant, to limit the users to only view documents through Advisor's Assistant and then without having access to log in via the web. Once they're on the web, then we have more specific features of what they can do, such as limiting the view or allow them to create new documents. And then finally, we create an audit trail for reporting purposes that logs a user's action inside of ReadyDoc and what happens to that document. And then lastly, the slides I want to cover today is compliance. So obviously the first bullet point, compliance is a matter addressed by policies and procedures in addition to technology. So no one solution is going to make your practice compliant, but it's a combination of the tools and policies and procedures that you use. So when combined with formalized procedures, ReadyDoc meets the compliance for SEC and FINRA. And then we also have the ability to provide instant access of records for inspection by your regulatory agencies. And then additionally, we have the ability, since ReadyDoc is cloud-based, we can send you your documents on a separate media, such as a portable hard drive, CDD, DVD, or via an FTP site, if you want to grab a copy of all your documents that are stored on our servers at a predetermined interval. So in summary, ReadyDoc streamlines your compliance processes by protecting documents from unauthorized access in a way the Windows file system and file cabinets cannot. Okay, enough of the boring PowerPoint stuff. Let's dive into the meat of the application today. So Shannon showed you how easy it was to go into ReadyDoc and view a document. So I'm going to show you actually ReadyDoc from the website. So we have, every client would get a unique ID, what we call a client ID, and then every user would have a unique username and password. I'm going to go ahead and log in as an administrative user first. Okay. Once logged into ReadyDoc, you'll notice on the upper left-hand corner gives you a brief description, so a name of your organization, shows you the user that's logged in, shows you the client ID that you're logged in under, and then just below that we get into what we call our folder view. So at the very top level where it shows ABCFIN, your client ID, that's our file cabinet view. Then we can create a series of folders and subfolders underneath that. What happens on the integration side that Shannon showed you from Advisor's Assistant is we happen to be scanning at the producer level. So what happens is so whoever the client is associated with at the producer level, if your office uses producers, it'll create the producer folder and then a folder for each one of your clients underneath that producer level. So the folder structure inside of ReadyDoc is automatically created when you scan through Advisor's Assistant. So if we go down to Chris Moneymaker, who Shannon scanned into, and if we look at our George Washington, we can go in and look at the contact, and then there's the fax finder that Shannon just scanned in. We also then have the investment, the direct deposit that she scanned in momentarily as well.
Hey, Justin, I have a question specifically about folders, asking, the way I set it up was to have it go into the investment folder or the contact folder, but we have a question about can it be set up differently than the investment and contact separation that I set up?
Yeah, we can, and that's controlled through Advisor's Assistant. So I'll finish showing this view. When I go back into Advisor's Assistant, we can show how that can be customized to use a drop-down list to build the folder structure out dynamically. So the short answer is yes, it just takes some configuration. Okay. So going back to the fact finder document, I'm going to go ahead and to open the document in ReadyDoc. Same thing as Shannon did through Advisor's Assistant, just to double click to open the document. And then what I want to do is just touch on some of the features you have in our document viewer when you actually retrieve a document. So just very basic, we have our thumbnail over here. So if this was a multi-page document, you would have your thumbnails to be able to click on a specific page and go directly to that page, as well as on the navigation toolbar up here to go through the specific pages. So just starting from left to right on the toolbar, I'm just going to go over some of the features. So the X obviously closes us out. We have an option for the document history. So this is the audit trail that I mentioned in the PowerPoint. So what we have on here is from the time the document was created and then also when the document was viewed. So here it was captured. This is where it was captured from Shannon's computer. So we have a complete history of what has been done to that document since it became in control of ReadyDoc. Okay. And then going farther across the top, we have the send the view link option, which is the option I mentioned about being able to send this document securely with a link via email to an end user, and then you have the ability to put a time limit on it. You can input a password so that they have to put a password to view it, and then you can decide what options you want them to have when using this view link. So I'm going to go ahead and create one and just allow the user to print it. I'm just going to send an email to myself. I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and put a password on it. So I went ahead and hit the send button. You'll notice we get the link set successfully. At that point, I can go ahead and close out, and I'll, in a minute when that email comes through, we'll go and show you how easy it is to view that document. So continuing across the top, we have the ability to send an email directly from here as well, which is just an unsecured email in addition to the view link. So this will actually send the document out as an attached PDF via email. So you would just simply put in your email address of who you're sending it to and any body of that or any text that you want to send to that email recipient. The next icon over gives us the ability to add pages to this document. So what will happen is if I scan this up to ReadyDoc from Advisor's Assistant and I go, oh, well, I forgot to add page 2, I can just simply click on this Add Pages icon, and it'll open up our the ReadyDoc scan client and allow us to add additional pages to this document. So I could just say, I'll come over here, I'm going to say import page from file. I'm going to browse out to a image here, and I just imported 2 additional pages into this document. and then I simply hit save, and it sends it back up to ReadyDoc at that point. So now that if I close out of this document and give it a refresh, you'll notice now that we have a 3-page document. So I can easily click on the thumbnails to view the additional pages of this document. Okay, and then we have some very basic zoom options. I'm not going to go over all of them, but we do have some, like the zoom in. So if you have a small document or you need to zoom in on a particular area, you have the ability with the mouse to drag and drop. It'll zoom in on that particular area of the document, and then very easily you can go back to a fit to width or a fit to window as the next icon over. Annotations, I'm logged in as a user right now that doesn't have rights to view annotations, but if I had security rights, I would be able to add annotations and read actions, which I'll cover in just a minute. And then all the way over here to the next on the navigation page, I can scroll through to go backwards or forwards in addition to clicking on the thumbnails. And then lastly, we have the ability to print the documents, which obviously prints it out, and then we have the ability to export a document, which when you go export, it converts this document, whether it was scanned as a TIFF image or a PDF. We save it as a PDF to your desktop. So it allows you to export documents out of the ReadyDoc if you know you're going to be at a location you don't have internet access, but you still need access to your documents. Okay, so that kind of covers the options on the toolbar. The last thing I want to show you before I'm sorry, Shannon.
I have a quick question. Since you're looking at pages and the different settings, can you change the order of the pages once they're scanned in?
Not once they're scanned in. If we need to change the order, what we would do is we would just click on the Add Pages button and bring it back into the scan client, and then we would reorganize the pages.
Thank you. That was a question somebody had.
So I could just come in here, drag this down, reorganize my pages, and then just hit Save again, and then at that point the pages would be reordered. Okay. And then the last thing I want to cover is the index card value here. So if we go back to our page 3, which was our original document before we inserted the information, I could change the information about this or add some additional information to this document. So I could add an insurance policy number, for example, by editing this. So these are the values then that become searchable inside of ReadyDoc. Okay. I'll go ahead and close out of this document and go back to our file viewer. Okay, so once we're back in the file viewer, depending on your rights, you will either see all of the folders, which we do now because I'm logged in back in as an admin, and then we have our specific options up here across the top. So what I want to touch on first is the view link that we sent. We have an option to manage those view links. So what we have on this screen here is this is the view link that I just sent out a second ago, and we'll go and view that in just a moment. And then I also have any expired view links down here that you have previously sent out. So you'll notice up here I have 6 minutes remaining on this one. So after 6 minutes, it's going to move down here to the expired links. But if I said, oh, that's not enough time, I have the ability to come down here and say resend this view link so that it reactivates the time. So this is just a nice way to manage all of your view links if you're using that feature. I go back to our file viewer. So I'm back now to the file viewer, and we saw originally that I can browse down through the folder structure to find the documents that I'm after. Additionally, we have an advanced search capability in ReadyDoc to be able to put in what we call a quick search, and I'm just going to do a quick search for an application. And you'll notice that it brings back all of the documents that have the word application associated in them. So just by a simple double click, it'll take me to that particular document. So we have so just a quick way to find any documents that contain in any of the index card values the word application. Then we also have the ability to search by what we call an index card. choose my client files here. So I could put in the persons with the first name of Bonnie, hit my index card search, and then I get the documents back for anybody in the system with the first name of Bonnie. You could limit it further by putting in the last name or selecting a document type to get more granular on your searches. But that gives you a broad search, so you can be very granular down on the index card file, or you can do broader searches up here with the quick search like we did for the application. Okay, so that kind of covers the folder structure, being able to drill down through the folders to get to your documents. The searching of documents, we've gone over what you can do when you view documents. And you'll notice down here now, I want to touch on security, we have down here a recycle bin. Because I'm logged in as an administrator, I would see a recycle bin. So even though a user may have the ability to delete documents out, they don't necessarily have to have the ability to see the recycle bin, so that if they accidentally delete a document, it will always be down here in the recycle bin, and then you can simply restore that document or folder to its original location from the recycle bin. So I'm going to go ahead and log out for a second and log back in as a producer of SAM. And you'll notice now that my Office files folder that I had and my recycle bin are gone. Additionally, I'm only seeing the documents associated with Sam Johnson. So if you're in a multi-producer office, or you want to limit who has access to what folders, this just gives you a quick view that you would only see what folders you have access to. So just to touch on my delete point on deleting a document, if I come in here and Sam has the ability to delete, I can go ahead and delete this document out. It now is removed from the folder. But if I log out and log back in as the administrator, you'll notice now there's the Moan application that I just deleted. We have the ability to restore that folder structure into the original location, so that it would no longer be deleted. So just a nice way that documents aren't permanently deleted if you want to give your users delete capability. And then also by right-clicking on a document at any time, I have all the features that we had in the viewer. So I could rename a document. I can email a copy directly from here. I can export it out. There's the view link option or send link option if we want to add additional pages to the document, and then the document history associated with that document. So I'm going to go ahead and log out here. Okay. So that's some of the features you can do directly on the ReadyDoc side. So now what I want to talk about is some of the additional features in ReadyDoc that we have associated with Advisor's Assistant at scan time, or the way that ReadyDoc interacts with your Windows desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize both Advisor's Assistant and ReadyDoc for a moment. And you'll notice down here in the taskbar here, we have a thing called ReadyDoc Control Center, which allows us to interact with ReadyDoc in a couple different ways. One of the nicest things here is we have a quick launch to the website. So by simply clicking on that, it'll open ReadyDoc with your saved login credentials that you have for viewing documents through Advisor's Assistant, automatically log us into ReadyDoc so you could do searches and get to additional client documents. Next, we have what we call our Control Center configuration. So this is where our login information is controlled. And then we also get into some of the advanced features. So we have a file polling option, which allows us to set a folder where we can just simply drag and drop documents to that will automatically be imported into ReadyDoc by that folder by our monitoring service here. So right now I just have it monitoring my documents in a ReadyDoc import folder, and then I can specify the location where I want those documents to go. So if I bring up our configuration screen here, then I can select what folder that I want it to go into. So I already have it configured to come into our incoming folder, so I'm just going to leave that as it is for a moment. And then additionally, we have the ability to set up what index cards, what we call index cards, we want it to go to. I have two, which is our client files and our office files. In this case, I'm going to have it go into office files, and we just have three values we want to capture: the document description, any drop-down values we have associated with it, and a document date. And then continuing on the control center here, if we go to our file drop, this works similar to the file polling, but what this does is creates what we call a target on your desktop. So what will happen with this is I configure a default location of where I want it to go and where I want my target to show up. So if I go ahead and close Control Center, I'm going to show drop zone here. So notice down here we now have a target. So if I open up a folder and I simply drag a document onto the R, we then get a index window where we have the ability to fill out the values associated with this document. And if right now it's just going into the root of my office files location in ReadyDoc, but I can click Browse and change that location. So if I was scanning in a contract, I could just change that location where that document is going to be stored, fill in my index card values, and hit the upload button. At that point, the document is uploaded to ReadyDoc, and we can simply close out. So just a nice, easy way to get documents into ReadyDoc without actually scanning in if you have documents electronically. Just a second ago, I scanned, or I imported just one document. You could highlight multiple documents and drag it down here, and it'll give you a list then of the documents that are going to be sent up to ReadyDoc. So that's how the target works. And then I would just want to show the file drop in what we call our ReadyDoc background upload service. We have the ability to, I'm going to go ahead and drag these documents into my monitored folder. I'm just going to take a couple of them here. I can just simply drag it into my shortcut. You'll notice down here we get the control center where the upload is going, and it tells me when that document has completed. So at that point, as soon as we get the completed message, just by simply dragging it into the folder, it automatically imports those documents into ReadyDoc. So this is a great way to get information into ReadyDoc. However, these documents will only be indexed by their file name versus dragging it to the drop zone where we have the ability to fill out specific information about the document. So here I had the ability to index, what we call index the documents. If I go the other route of just the file polling, it's just going to come into ReadyDoc with the document name. So if I log back into ReadyDoc, I'll just do it for our nice control center down here to make it quick. So if we go to our office files and our contracts, there's the document that I uploaded via the target, and then I have the incoming folder where it just brought in the documents with their file name. So I have the ability to open a document here. Okay.
Justin,
If you brought in documents,
regarding that particular item, I think you answered this question, but two people asked the same question right as you were going through the whole control center as to whether the whole folder can be dropped over or if they have to go file by file.
You can highlight all of the documents in a folder, but you can't drag a folder.
Okay, I think that answers both of their questions. Thank you.
Just to show that real quick, if we come up here to our documents, I could highlight all of these documents using the standard Windows controls and drag them all over at once, but I cannot drag the folder. Okay. Then once we're back in ReadyDoc, so I move these documents to the incoming folder. If I wanted to then file them, I can just simply drag and drop them to a new location in ReadyDoc, or I can move the whole folder in. So if this office lease agreement didn't belong under contracts, for whatever reason it belonged under accounting, so I can move the folder or documents just simply by dragging and dropping. So a nice way, even if it gets or somebody makes a mistake, because we're all human, we can simply drag and drop them to get them in their correct location. And then you'll get prompts of when you want to move those documents. So that covers bringing in documents. We went over how ReadyDoc allows you to search. We went over how you can organize your file structure here. And then the last thing I want to touch on is, even though we're tightly integrated with Advisor's Assistant, you'll notice down here in my Office files, you could store all of your other business-related documents. So if you have an accounting department, if you have an HR department, and you want to store your employee files here, you have the ability to organize this so that you create a central repository for all of your Office documents, not just your client's documents associated with Advisor's Assistant. So that's all I wanted to show on the ReadyDoc side. And lastly, we'll just come back and view our view link document where we sent the view link via email. Go ahead and open up my message here. If I click on this view link, this would be a view link that I sent previously, and we're probably going to get an expired. So we'll notice that the time had passed since we put a time limit on it and expired of 10 minutes for this document. So I could just go back into ReadyDoc and reactivate or resend that link to make it active again. So that was one that we had previously sent. I'm going to switch my computer screens real quick just to bring up the more previous email or link that we sent. And this one, I'd put a password on it. And this one's expired too. I talked too slow and we set the time limit for only 10 minutes. So now what we need to do is go back into ReadyDoc and just send that link so that I can view it. So now we move that link back up to active, and we'll wait for that email to come through, and then I'll show you clicking on that link. Hopefully I get to it. I don't talk for 10 minutes again.
And Jen, I don't know if there's other questions at this point, or if we fully answered that one about the configuration question, or we can take that offline.
We have quite a few questions. So I was just going to wait and see at what point it's good to start. I've asked a couple of them when they were at the right point, but we do have quite a few more questions, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Shannon, at this point I'm done showing all the main features in ReadyDoc. I just want to wait for that view link to come through. So while I'm waiting for that email to come through so I can finish showing that functionality, let's go ahead and answer some questions.
Okay. One quick thing specifically about the view link is, do you have to have a time limit?
You do not have to set a time limit on it.
Okay.
If we go and if we go back to our view links or go to bring up a document.
Okay. So another question that has come up is if you could speak a little bit to the actual scanning, and I believe that with ReadyDoc you need to be scanning from a workstation that has a scanner attached to it. Could you speak to the people, the larger offices that have those central copier scanning machines, and whether ReadyDoc can work with one of those?
Scanning is in working with MFPs or multifunction devices is dependent on the multifunction unit. So ReadyDoc on the scanning side works with any scanners that have Twain drivers. So if your multifunction device has a Twain driver that can be installed on your computer and you can open it up and scan from your computer, then ReadyDoc would work with it. In some cases, multifunction devices don't offer Twain drivers, so then what you would do is a lot of them will scan to a network location on your network if you're in a larger office, and then you would have the ability to do a file import to go out to that directory. So if I bring up Advisor's Assistant, we go to our scan, so if we had a direct connect, we hit the scan, but if we didn't have a Twain compatible scanner, we would just hit the import button, and then you could highlight all the documents in a folder to bring those into the scan client that you just scanned. And then you'll notice down here we build the document list so that you can go through and index and send those documents up. We also have the option to send all here too, instead of having to hit send. So if you're bringing in, 25, 30 documents at once, you have the option to send all without having to hit the send button 30 times.
I know
so
sometimes
just to recap on that, any Twain compatible scanner we can work with, as long as it can be connected directly to your PC.
Now another question is, if two files are scanned together, can you extract pages?
I'm not sure I understand that. Do you mean
Okay.
split the document? I wonder if they're asking about splitting the documents out.
Maybe, Jeannie, if you could resend a little bit more detail about that question. How about Excel and Word documents? Can they be stored, and then if they're stored, can they be edited?
So the answer is yes, they can be stored. As far as editing them, what it will do is it will download the Excel file and opening it in the native application. So let me go ahead and cancel out of this screen for just a second here, and we're going to go back into Advisor's Assistant. And it would be the same function. You can import here, browse out to your Excel or your Office document. I'm not sure what I have on here, if I have an Office document on here, but let's just bring in the PowerPoint that we were working with earlier. So if I bring in the PowerPoint, you'll notice that it's not an image, so we're not going to get a view here, but it shows where it is. But I could still go ahead and index this document. Go ahead and hit the send button. At that point, it'll send that PowerPoint up to the ReadyDoc server. And then on the ReadyDoc side, when we go to view that document, it's just going to download it and open it in PowerPoint. So you would have the ability to download it and open it and then edit it. But when you save it back up, because once you download it, ReadyDoc loses control of that document. So you would basically save it back up as a new version or a new copy of that PowerPoint presentation in this case.
Does it show twice in the folder because you've saved it and reloaded it?
It would show, yeah, it would show twice. That's correct.
Okay. And then sort of tied into this is, let's say that you've scanned hundreds of documents under one client, but then the documents start becoming old or outdated. You need to keep them, but how can you keep the folder from becoming full?
Well, there's a couple ways to handle that, and a lot of that is going to come down to each individual's office policies and procedures. But a lot of offices will set it up, a reminder for themselves to come in and do a search based on the capture date of the documents, And then once you do that capture search, you would have the ability to move them into by year, for example. So in the folder structure, if you have 100 documents in this folder structure for Jane Smith, maybe I would want to create another folder under there for year and move those documents in by year so that you're looking at a smaller list. So a lot of that is determined by your internal policies and procedures, but there's a couple ways we could handle it inside of ReadyDoc, but every situation seems to be a little bit different in that regard.
And we'll be giving the pricing information so everybody will have that, but the pricing is based on gigabytes of space, so you can always pay a little more to add more gigabytes if you fill up your first allotted 10 gigabytes that you start out with. And what about, can more than one person be logged in as an administrator at one time to access files?
Yes. Yeah, what will happen is more than the same person could be logged in, or different administrators could be logged in at the same time. It's just that if they go to open the same document, whoever opens it first is going to have priority of that document.
Okay, let's see what we have here. And I've had a couple people ask about when there's someone who's out of the office. So they don't have access to Advisor's Assistant, but they do have a computer with a web browser. And I've had the question come up enough that I just wanted to let people know that because ReadyDoc is accessible through a web browser, then if someone just has a computer with internet access, they can access ReadyDoc and all of the documents that they've been given access to. So that's definitely a big advantage to scanning everything into ReadyDoc.
Yeah, so just to touch on that, Shannon, if everybody's still seeing our screen here, we can just bring up an internet browser session. So this place I'm at Google, I could just type in the ReadyDoc URL or web address. You present with login screen, you input your login credentials. And there's your access to your files.
I have a question here that I don't understand the reference, but maybe you do because it might be a scanning issue. Can you index documents that are uploaded via polling?
Yeah, so what they're talking of, what that question is in regards to is on the ReadyDoc Control Center side, I touched on setting up a folder polling location. So if we come down here to our Control Center and we go to our file polling, they're asking, I think, specifically about this question right here. So if the documents come up via file polling, then you wouldn't have the ability to index them at the time they're imported to ReadyDoc. Once they're in ReadyDoc, you could go back and index them individually. If you have a smaller capability, you just drag them to the target over here. At that point, you have the ability to index each individual document. But on the file polling here, depending on what's creating the documents, we do have an advanced feature here where if we have what we call an XML file, that would take the XML file would have the metadata and the associated information about the image that it's looking for, and then it would automatically be indexed at that point. But that's usually a little more advanced installation because we have to have an application that creates these XML index files for us. So just quick recap on that. The file folders polling, the way I have it set up now, there is no indexing at the time it's imported. It just simply imported into whatever location we have it going into ReadyDoc. But I would have the capability to go back at a later time and index those documents a couple different ways. One of the easiest ways is going to be if I go back to our office files, our contracts. These are two documents that I brought in via the file polling. What I could simply do is open the document up, and then we would have our index card tab here, and I could add the index card values at that point in time. So I could go back after they're mass uploaded and give them an index value, or I could bring it back down to the scan client to add the index values as well. So a couple different ways to handle that.
Is there also something you can do about using folder defaults?
There is. What we could do on the folder default side is in ReadyDoc, we have what, and I'm not sure who asked that question, but we have an option for a folder default. So on the incoming folder here, I have this index card option. So I could set default values. So any document that comes into this folder would get indexed by these values. So that's a great option for any documents that may be static, where you could have a static 1 or 2 index values that would be automatically filled out when it comes into that folder, or a document is created in that folder.
I've had quite a few questions about migrating data from other systems, and so I wanted to definitely mention that if anybody is using Imaging Assistant, that you have written a conversion program that you can move documents out of Imaging Assistant up to ReadyDoc and keep all of those links within Advisor's Assistant. And so maybe you'd like to speak to other programs that you can migrate from, and just so everybody knows, there is a cost for the data migration from another scanning program, and it depends on the other scanning program.
Yeah, and I think I heard Bruce on the call, who actually does most of our conversions, so I might let him speak to the conversion side. Bruce, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, we have currently we have conversions for Imaging Assistant. We can convert files that have been linked to Advisor's Assistant through the file system, and we also have a conversion for Cabinet NG. And then, you know, we're adding more as we go. I think we're working on one for Munimetrics right now for some of the more common systems out there. They all kind of tend to be similar, so if there's something we don't have, it's usually something we can provide in not too long a time frame.
And I think one other one, Bruce, we just did was for anybody that has Sentry file too.
All right. And we will be starting to post some notes about this on our website. It's one of those things where we don't necessarily want those to become targets for those vendors. So right now, you know, just if you have a question, send us an email, give us a call. We can let you know what we can convert, or if we need to do some extra work to get it in.
We've also had a couple questions about bulk scanning, where you scan a bunch of documents that belong to many clients, and can you then organize them after scanning, or do you have to scan each client at a time?
Well, currently, so there's 2 answers to that question. Currently scanning, if you want it to be linked inside of Advisor's Assistant, you would have to do it 1 client at a time so that we get the information from Advisor's Assistant so that it's linked to that CRM record. If you don't want it to be linked to Advisor's Assistant, then you would open up our ReadyDoc scan client outside of Advisors that would allow you to get into more of that bulk scanning capability. Additionally, we work with another scanning a product called Kofax Capture that is a heavy-duty designed program for bulk scanning front-end documents and indexing them. And then Kofax would create our XML files down here for us that we, in the ReadyDoc Control Center, that we need to import those documents in.
Would you like to speak?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I've had a question come up about security, so maybe just since security is always at the top of people's mind, you might just want to give a brief little info about the security for ReadyDoc.
Did they ask a specific question about security?
How secure is secure?
Well, in general, the way ReadyDoc is architectured with meeting all of the compliance regulatory initiatives for the SEC and FINRA, you know, we've gone through a strict auditing process to make sure and to fulfill those, to have the ability to meet that criteria. But on the security side, so ReadyDoc itself is secure, and there's definitely not a way that anybody could get in and attack our information. But on the security side, a lot of it depends on your own inner office or your own PC security, where information could be compromised, kind of similar to if you're going to online banking or any of that information. ReadyDoc is architected in much the same way, but if you don't have controls on your local PC or within your network and that gets compromised, there potentially could be a place for security breach, but having nothing to do with ReadyDoc.
And this was a good question that came up. When you're sending that link to the client so they can view the document, and if you password protect that link, how does the receiver know what the password is? Do you just send them a separate email with the password for the document?
Yeah, you could send them a separate email, or a lot of people will pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I just sent you an email. Here's the password for the link that I sent to you. So there's a couple different ways to handle that, but it would have to be distributed in one of those ways.
And also regarding the document type, which we've used a couple of times, there is a list of categories in Advisor's Assistant, and ReadyDoc actually ties into that category list so that you can customize the category list in Advisor's Assistant just through our regular abbreviation setup, and then that category list becomes the document type up on ReadyDoc. So that's how you can customize that ReadyDoc document type list.
Yeah, so anything showed in the file category that Shannon just talked about, we would sync with ReadyDoc, and then that becomes what's available in the document type drop-down list.
And then you also have the option of having that category be the folder name as well, the subfolder under the client. That's one of the configuration options.
Right.
There's a question about the actual scanned document, and if I believe that when the document is scanned through ReadyDoc, it scans as a TIFF file, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So when you scan, everything is a TIFF file. If you have existing PDFs, you can import those. Now, if you import a PDF or a Word or Excel file, can those files in ReadyDoc be searchable for the text within the file itself? The text within the Excel file or the Word file is searchable?
On the electronic side, as far as Word and Excel documents go, no. But on PDFs, on our next release, currently the answer is no, but on our next release in 30 days, we will support searchable PDFs.
And TIFFs, of course.
And TIFFs, yes.
Now, if someone has an iPad or another tablet device, because you're accessing ReadyDoc through an internet browser, does everything work through the tablet?
Bruce, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, it would work the same through the tablet. We're actually working on a mobile app as well for this, but in the short term, we will be having a separate, when you log in via a small device, it'll go to a separate, a web page that's optimized for the smaller screens. We don't have that currently, but we're working toward that, and it'll be in Q2 of this year, so within the next few months.
Okay, so I know we're pretty much at the hour mark, and I know we can continue to answer some questions here, but some people may need to sign off. I thought that what we would do is quickly show the pricing information so that those people that need to leave can see that pricing information. And basically, with ReadyDoc, we do have a special discount for Advisor's Assistant users, and that's $59 a month for the first 10 gigabytes of storage. Now, I have had a question from someone that has 20 file cabinets that they're looking to scan and get up into the cloud. So, Jeff, can you give an idea maybe of about how much 10 gigabytes of storage is?
Yeah, so, well, 10 gigabytes, a lot of it, the file size depends on what type of documents you're storing in ReadyDoc. So, but in general, if you're scanning documents in from the ReadyDoc scan client and they're scanned at 300 DPI in black and white, you're going to get between 200,000 and 300,000 pages for that 10 gigabytes of storage. So roughly it equates to 20,000 pages per gig is what we typically see. But if you're scanning in full-color PDFs at 600 DPI that are creating 600 megabyte files in one shot, then you can see how that space could be eaten up pretty quickly. So a lot of it depends on the files that you're uploading and what the characteristic or makeup of those files is.
And then you can always purchase more space above and beyond the 10 gigabytes. What was the price for the additional gigabytes?
It is $5 per additional gig with a minimum of 5 at a time. So basically, anytime you hit the 10, it's a $20 increment to get to the next level.
Okay. And there is a setup fee. There is a one-time setup fee, and typically that ranges from $99 up depending on how many workstations you're going to have set up with ReadyDoc. So it's best to call, if you're ready to sign up, you can call Advisor's Assistant. They can take you through the setup fee and also help you with getting set up with the payment authorization and everything for that. So we have all of the information on the setup fees. Now, some specific questions came in that are specific to your exact situation in your office, and we will email you additional information about that. If you ask a question that is specific to how your office is set up, I think it's best that we answer those questions directly with you. So at this point, it looks like we have gotten through the questions that were fairly general. And if we do get a question later after we shut down the webinar, we will follow up that with an email too, because we want to make sure that all questions have been answered. And Justin, did you have any final remarks that you'd like to make?
No, just to say, everyone, thanks for joining. And as Shannon said, if there is specific questions or you have specific questions about your environment, if you want to send an email to either sales@readydoc.com or feel free to call the number there, then what we can do is reach out to you and maybe set up an individualized presentation like we did today and talk about your specific needs to see if ReadyDoc is a fit for you. And
do you have a trial for ReadyDoc? Oh, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Correct.
Yes, I remember that. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And I would also like to thank everybody for attending today's Advisor's Assistant Integration Partner webinar. I hope that you did find it useful. We really do appreciate your feedback. So if you have time, a quick evaluation form will appear when you close the webinar, and we do value any feedback that you have. So thank you again, everybody, for attending. We will be following up with more answers to questions that come in, and I hope everybody has a great day. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.